I just figured maybe you were still dealing with option B. You know what I mean?
Oh no.
So,
I am
hey
though,
guys,
however, fully lubricated. My headphones are too loud. Oh, that's better.
is that better?
Yeah. Wow.
I'm so tired. I always
Oh,
have to
now
do
the
this
button's
past
on.
midnight.
Yo, why we're talking for like 2 minutes and then you say the button's not on, and then like I just look up and we've been live for like 30 seconds.
You told me to press it.
My God.
Go.
Like usually there's a countdown, like a 1, 2,
I don't
or
do that.
down.
I like to get right in there. You know?
All right. Yes, I'm aware.
Okay. We're not going to explain that at all.
Oh,
Okay,
in the
so
black chair.
what are we here to talk about? We're talking about Blake's contract. We're talking about the Bryan Freedman lawsuit.
Yeah.
We're not going to go through Bryan Freedman's lawsuit word for word because I would rather eat concrete right now, frankly. But
well, I'll give you the gist.
Well, let's start with the contract because I do want to read some of the actual lawsuit. So let's just start with
will. We could just go with the facts. I mean, reading the causes of action. I mean, they're accusing him of malpractice and
it's dramatic, and people like that. So
but I'll tell you what, it's not. He's not just going to hand wave it away. He's got a real argument.
Okay, so everybody's talking about this signature page of the contract that was just released. Yeah. She never signed it. I know that you and I had a conversation a long time ago, which is why I don't remember the details, where you were telling me why it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, because, that's like the most common question I've received over the months over in this case. Well, she never signed the contract. It doesn't effing matter because she understood she had somewhere to be. She understood she was there to make a movie. They understood that they were there to make certain accommodations. In other words, they acted as if they had a contract. And so maybe she was supposed to sign this very early on. Maybe she kept on blowing it off or whatever. The point is that she showed up every day for work and she still got paid. And so they acted as if they had a contract. And my big point back then was, okay, so they had a contract, but they keep on giving in to her demands. And so what are the terms of the contract? Like they probably started with whatever the details are of this contract that I haven't read through and then changed it over the course of time because they kept on giving in to her demands. And so one of the judges, Judge Lyman's points when he denied Justin's motion was like, look, I'm not going to dismiss it on 12b6, your breach of contract claim, but you got to tell me what the contract is. And that was like the biggest thing. You can't just hand him this contract and say, yeah, this is what the agreement was. Not anymore, not after all of these subsequent modifications of the contract that happened essentially verbally or by the actions of the parties. In other words, if you and I don't make any contract, right? Let's just say that I
our relationship contract
that we offer to sell you a house, right? And I say, I will give you this house for $1 million. And then you don't give me $1 million, you give me $500,000. And I say, all right, cool. And then I leave and I don't do anything about it for like 3 years and I don't make any effort to collect. Arguably, you can say that, first of all, it's an illegal contract, unenforceable because it's statute of frauds. It's supposed to be in writing because it involves real estate, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Fine. The other thing is, even if it was an enforceable contract, the terms are now modified because I only give you $500,000 for it and you didn't do shit about it. So therefore, I'm only going to give you $500,000 and you could piss off. And I wouldn't be able to say that, no, the original contract, well, I didn't enforce the original contract and nobody signed the original contract. And so the question of the material terms of the contract will be determined by the actions of the parties and statutes of limitations and rules for collections and all those different things. Mm-hmm. So I hope that every time I feel like I explain this, nobody seems to get it. So I know that not everybody's gonna, because it doesn't make sense. It's like, how could you have a contract and there's nobody signed it? Because oftentimes people make agreements with each other and there is such a thing as verbal contracts. How do you figure out what are the terms of a verbal agreement?
It's pretty hard to is it hard to enforce though?
Yeah. And so what we default to is, okay, so what was, first of all, it goes by what makes sense. What did the parties do? So if I let you live in a house for $500,000 when I quoted you $1 million, is it reasonable that I wouldn't collect the other $500,000 for 3 years? Does that run into statute of limitations issue? A jury could decide that, look, yeah, it's perfectly reasonable that she should have expected to pay the additional $500,000. And then it becomes a question of whether or not the contract has been sufficiently modified by the actions of the parties. And that's going to require lots of litigation, lots of diving into communications, lots of what did he do after he collected the first $500,000? What did she do? Was she saving a separate pool of money to make a second payment? No, because she had no expectations of making a payment because she believed that the terms were modified. And then it just becomes this huge litigation over the meaning of context within the performance of the contract. Hey, do you want to ever lose your mind? You ever want to feel like you're just swimming in
time, bro?
I'm just saying, take a 1L contracts course and it's just so annoying. It's annoying. It is annoying. We have cases like this and we read them and we're supposed to make sense of them. And I think it's your first introduction to, law is bullshit. It's basically whatever people say it is.
Great.
So there's that.
Comforting. Yikes. Anyways, I was just thinking about what I would do to $500,000.
Wait, Crystal says, I think in this analogy, you signed the $500K, the writer, but not the million. Oh, you put it on the screen. But someone paid the million and you refunded the $500K. So technically you're agreed on even if no signature. Yeah. Now, if one person screams breach, then we have to figure out what was the big misunderstanding. Obviously, there was an agreement of some sorts. Obviously, you guys made a movie and made money off of it and everybody got paid. So what is the breach? And in order to determine the breach, we have to determine what were the promises. And if there were promises, were the promises modified? And then what were the expectations based on the modifications? And if you're saying it was a breach, at what part was it breached? On the original terms or a modification of the terms? And what was the understanding of each at the time the breach occurred? Contract sucks, dude. That's what we're dealing with when you don't have a contract signed. But I'll tell you what, you have the framework for what was the original understanding of the agreement, but very likely the four corners of the contract have been substantially modified from its original version, which is what we're looking at the screen right now. So in my thumbnail, I don't know if you probably didn't see it, but I just said, she didn't sign the contract and who cares or something like that.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. There's still a contract and somebody breached it. The question is who? I guess it doesn't matter from Baldoni's side. He no longer has a cross complaint. But to the extent that her breach of contract claims survive, it will become relevant. What was the actual contract? What are we enforcing here?
Yeah.
Because it ain't going to be this. It's going to resemble that. It's just not going to be the same.
All right. Well,
I think we dealt with that pretty efficiently. It took us 8 minutes. It's pretty good.
I only wasted 2 of them too. So.
Oh, I don't know. Did that explanation make sense? I feel like I'm talking really fast.
Yes, it did. Let me look on our poll here. We have almost 200 votes. We have, why is Omar always late? He's just doing it his best at almost 60%, and then hemorrhoids at 41%.
Well,
so I guess you're all right.
There was a C. My daughter, she's really into chapter books. And today was chapter 6, and she was not letting me skip bedtime story time tonight, and so I had to read chapter 6.
Option A.
But that was that's
the goal. Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny when your kids get into chapter books because you're used to them reading like these little baby books, and then all of a sudden they graduate and they have like their whole imaginations and they could follow the story, and it's this crazy thing that happens with children. And at least one of mine is there. The other one still is into the baby books, but she'll get there.
Well, I could definitely help with that, but nothing about baby books.
You have tainted my daughter's music choices for all time.
And yours. Don't want to admit it, but I have. Wait, what? Why? What do you say? What do you mean?
You introduced them to, I don't know, who was it? Meghan Trainor?
Meghan Trainor. We did. I know we did a lot of Miley Cyrus.
That's what it was. Miley Cyrus is one of them from like 2012 or something when you were a junior high schooler, whatever you were.
I think Meghan Trainor was exclusive to your car. So.
Oh, my eldest daughter liked Meghan Trainor. I hated that whole era of music. It's like, what am I listening? I felt like I just had no connections to this earth in music way back in 2012. I mean, much earlier than that if we're keeping score, but nobody ever does.
Spotlight Shift, thank you for becoming a member of both channels. That's awesome. Shannon.
Oh, by the way, Lauren's in charge of the chat tonight, so
that's never good.
that's
Shannon
the way
OS,
it should be.
Thanks for the membership. Appreciate it. And KKV, thank you for the 10. Just joined in. Does the fact that she had that 17-point addendum to return to set count if all parties signed as agreement by her to the addendum and the contract in full it was modifying? Do you understand the question?
Yeah,
I'm
I think
lost.
Was the original agreement between the parties modified by the 17-point addendum? Yeah.
Okay.
That's, they would just label it an addendum to the original contract, and then, they're bound. Whether or not it attaches to the employment agreement or something else is another question where context matters. But it makes sense that it would attach to the original employment contract in this case.
Okay. Well, we flipped over to the lawsuit here. I'm just going to give some context. Before he died, Travis Flores, right, who's the estate of Travis Flores, is who's suing Bryan Freedman and Travis's widow. Before he died, Travis retained Bryan Freedman to represent him against Justin Baldoni and other defendants in a federal copyright infringement action. Later captioned Travis Flores v. Justin Baldoni, Caleb Remington, Wayfarer, and then etc. So they dismissed that. There was one settlement, and the settlement was Caleb Remington, to my knowledge. So there was never any fault on the part of Wayfarer or Justin that I know of.
No, because they dismissed really early on, and that's kind of the point of the malpractice suit.
Right. Okay.
But before we get to that, I gotta. Bruce had a really good question. If you could scroll back up, he said, by signing the addendum, does that basically mean that so if you sign the addendum, is it stipulating signature of the original? No, because it's just reinforcing that by the actions of the parties, there is an agreement. And because this original document is never signed, we can't just state that it is the four corners of the contract because it's not signed. And because there's so many modifications, it's evidence that these might have been the original terms. They probably were the original terms, but how has it been modified by the acquiescences of either party is the point. So it's not an automatic stipulation to the original terms, but it is further evidence that there's definitely a contract is the point. That's the nuance of that.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
I could totally tell when I've lost you.
Yeah, I know.
You get this glazed over look on your face. It's like, yeah.
Amanda L, thank you for the $5. How does this affect the MJOP and It Ends With Us LLC?
Well, I'll tell you how this affects it. It either affects it completely or not at all.
It kind of seems like it. It kind of seems like it doesn't.
Here's how it affects it. This is a lawsuit by a former client. Here's what happened. He was representing this guy, Travis. Baldoni was the other side. And then he decides to represent Justin Baldoni. After rapidly dismissing his former client Travis's complaint, and starts singing Baldoni's praises about how Baldoni and Wayfarer are such good people. And
so there were like 2.5 years or 2 years between those events, though.
Doesn't matter. And here's why. I told you weren't going to like it, but I'm just saying.
I know. I still ask though.
I'm just saying. 2.5 years doesn't matter because the confidentialities of his representation with Travis exist past death, meaning they're still in place. And the people that are suing him is essentially the administrator of Travis's estate. And they now hold the privilege, all of the privileged communications. And what they're essentially stating is that he's spoken derogatorily about Travis because he said that his lawsuit was meritless, or there was nothing to it, essentially.
Is that what he said? Is that what he said? I don't really.
In a nicer way. I mean, but there's obviously blowing it up. But he kind of just said, yeah, there was nothing there. Is essentially, he said it in a nice way. It wasn't like this obvious. I was going to say the name of the unmentionable. It wasn't like this obvious, this obvious thing where he would, yeah, that's definitely inappropriate. He said it in a way, but the point was that it's like if I was I'll tell you how it happens in family law. Oftentimes, I represent people in custody cases.
Sure.
And oftentimes it's like a dad and his wife, and they come to me because they're dealing with an ex and it's a custody case, and I handle their custody case. Great. But then they end up wanting to get divorced. And like the wife comes to me and says, hey, I want to divorce your former client. Is that a conflict of interest? Yes, it is. I can't, but I have a great referral to you. I can't even talk to you about this case, nor would I ever, because it's completely unethical. I know too much about him. I know too much about you. It doesn't look right. I'm not doing it. It's kind of what happened here. He had a lawsuit against Justin. It's not an exact, but it's approximate. Travis sues Justin.
In your example, the person has previously represented the husband, and then the wife comes and says, I have this divorce.
Imagine like I was representing you and say like your wife, your hypothetical wife.
Ew. Go ahead.
And then, you guys come to me because you have some kind of custody dispute because you have a stepdaughter and like there's a custody dispute between your wife and her ex, right? And then you guys want to get divorced and you come to me and say, hey, could you represent me against my ex-wife? And I'll say, no, I cannot.
I would never do that because Rachel's my designated divorce attorney.
Well, there you go. The other part of that is I could never do that because that's crazy unethical. There's way too much conflict there for me to deal with.
I don't know, man. That seems a little different to me, but
Well, here's the parallel.
Fewer close
Travis
there for sure. But
Travis sued Justin Baldoni for copyright infringement.
Sure.
He had that case for like 30 to 45 days, according to the lawsuit, or something like that. Some very short time.
Yeah.
It was 12B6, as you know what that is, a motion to dismiss. And Freedman says, yeah, fuck it. There's nothing here. We're just going to drop the case. And so he dismisses the case and then starts representing Justin Baldoni for this Blake Lively thing because he's getting paid more. It's a higher profile case. It's just a bad look. It's a really bad look. And then he goes on about it. There's articles printed about it. And now his family, the estate, is suing him for malpractice. Like, hey, that was bullshit. You're just going to jump ship because you're going to get paid more? That's unethical. That's malpractice. And now you're going out into the public and stating that he never had a case to begin with. And Justin Baldoni is such this great guy. That's a conflict of interest. And that goes directly to the
statement with some fuck shit. I'll say that. That was
I'm just saying,
that was not nice.
I am not evaluating the merits. I'm just saying this, the claims are serious. That's essentially what they're stating. I am not advocating that they're correct. I'm just, because I read it and I was like, so what did he do? It's not a slam dunk for them. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
But why it matters is because now you have ongoing litigation between the estate of his former clients with whom the executor or the administrator of that estate holds the privilege, and he's representing their former client that is necessarily the subject of this litigation. The interest of the parties might diverge such that it runs counter to his former client, and that's what you call a 1.6 professional rules conflict of interest. That is a mandatory disqualifier.
Whoa, that was a
potentially.
Sorry.
In this litigation. Well,
no. It's okay. Don't repeat it.
Okay. I'm just saying, if they agree, if a judge agrees, if somebody moves to disqualify Freedman and they say, yeah, that's bullshit, we can't. They have no discretion. If they find that level of conflict of interest, they must, it's not discretionary, they must disqualify him from Baldoni's Lively case. That's why it's nothing to sneeze at. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Hey, did you hear that? Did that come? Are you hearing my soundboard?
I heard.
What's that for you?
I don't appreciate it. Bruce says Bruce is not happy that you have invented a wife for me as my YouTube husband.
Would you have preferred I invented a husband?
I already have one. It's Bruce.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Ken Clayton, I guess. Apparently.
Well,
hang on. We saw that one already. Saw that one. Dima Nishewat. I don't know if I said that right. I'm so sorry. Look who's here. My favorite two people on YouTube: Lethal Lauren and the culted lawyer.
The
tilted
culted lawyer.
Yeah. We miss
I'm
you,
here
Omar,
with
and
the-
love you, Lauren. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, I miss y'all lots too, man. I really miss being the tilted lawyer.
Yeah, Shannon Connolly. Thank you for the 20. That's awesome. 5 Feet Apart was based on a book that predates the screenplay that Travis wrote, and Justin bought the rights to 5 Feet Apart. Isn't that enough of a reason for Bryan to say you don't have anything here? I mean, I don't necessarily think that Travis really had a case. I think the problem is maybe that Bryan shouldn't have, gone out of his way to dismiss it, and then like gone out in public and said, well, he didn't really have a case, and Justin's a great guy or whatever, in the way that makes it look like Travis's case was crap, I guess is maybe the problem.
Well, that's why professional attorneys don't talk about their clients' cases as they're ongoing, and they maintain their clients' confidences so as to not put them in a pickle like that.
Yeah.
And not to engage in appearances of impropriety because it's just not attractive.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really about, we went over that lawsuit, like, must have been 7 months ago now. Like, I went and I got all those things from LA Superior Court, and I went over them, and it did not seem like he had a real case against most of them, at least. Caleb Remington.
The merits of the case is not at issue. It's the disqualifier.
Right, no. I think that this person is just asking about, why, if he didn't have a case, or why is there like that's not enough of a reason for him to say that you don't have a case. Well, it's not that he doesn't have a reason, because I think that you're correct about that, because that was my opinion, my takeaway. But I guess Omar is saying that that's not the real thing that's at issue here.
Well, I'll talk to Shannon Connolly. I'll talk to Shannon Connolly directly. It's as if you're like my client and you're on trial for murder. Whether or not you did it or not is really not important. If I start talking about, the merits of your defense in public after you might have been gotten off on a technicality, and I say that, she totally did it, in my opinion, that would be an extreme, an egregious misstatement on my part. Or if I said, if I divulged anything related to your defense that was told to me in confidence, it's protected, it's privileged, and lawyers know that. That's why it's so important that if you do stuff that you are, it's like in criminal cases, like if you're doing criminal stuff, I don't want to know about it. It's not that I don't want to know about it. It's like, I can't continue to represent you in the same way if I know that you committed crimes that I'm defending you for, because then it impugns my integrity. It was Lauren shaking.
No, I was sitting here being so snarky, and now nobody's gonna know what I said. So.
Oh well. Oh boy.
This was for you, man.
Oh, what's up? The spotlight shift says, does the time frame between dismissal of previous case and this one matter? No, because attorney-client privilege survives forever. Like, if Lauren were to tell me things in confidence that she wanted nobody to ever find out about,
you would definitely tell people by accident on the next stream.
Totally.
You're fired.
The point is, if for some reason she passes away in 8 years, and then 20 years later,
I only got 8 years left.
I mean, I don't know. It is 80 years, 800 years.
Oh no, I'll be 40. I can die at 40. That's fine.
Attorney-client privilege survives way long. I can't even talk. It survives after death. That's what I'm just saying. I have to keep your confidences forever. Like, imagine, like if you were one of these, who was that actor in the 90s that died of AIDS? And he was like this Hollywood guy.
I don't know shit about that.
Yeah, but he was like this famous guy and like this heartthrob type actor. And nobody knew that he was gay. And then he had AIDS and he died. And then it comes out like right before his death that he's actually gay. Like, if he, imagine like an attorney just coming out, oh yeah, he was totally gay. And he didn't want anybody to know that because he told that in confidence to his attorney. That's bullshit. You can't do that. That's why it survives after death. And so Travis passed away in 2024. The time between cases it could have been 50 years ago. It doesn't matter. You maintain client confidences. That's why attorney-client privilege is so powerful. You should be able to speak candidly with your attorney about anything and everything, without fear of them going blabbing off to the media. or to anybody.
Yeah.
So that's the point. Rock Hudson, that's who it was. Thanks, Carol.
I have no idea who that is. So sorry.
I only know who that was because my grandma liked that guy.
Hang on. Maybe I do. I'm a face person, not a name person. No, I have no idea who this is. I'm sorry.
It doesn't
I've
matter.
never seen any of these movies.
Doesn't Blake signing the 12-point agreement count as a signature for the entire contract because that was the agreement at the end to modify it? Refresh my memory. What was the 12-point agreement?
I think it's a 17-point. The thing that they had to sign to get her to come back.
No, it does not count as signature for the entire contract because the entire contract was not included. Like when you have a contract, you have the entire contract, and you'll even have language that this includes the entirety of the contract, and you'll have the separate pages or whatever, and everything else is an addendum, right? And if you want to add it to the contract, you'll have language specifically that this is to be an addendum to the contract. That's how you would do it to keep everything in writing and keep everything clean and enforceable. The way that they did it, they wrote up a contract, nobody signed it, and then they go off signing 17-point addendums. That's not a forfeiture of your right to sign the contract. It's not an automatic stipulation that the original terms apply. It is just an acknowledgement that at one point we included this 17-point thing and whatever it is that we're doing now in terms of a contract. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, let me see. I don't know if there's anything. I know Leanne read this and said that she thought a lot of the language is really charged, but I honestly haven't read it. So I didn't even find it until a couple hours ago.
You're talking about the complaint?
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to go through it?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, I just, like I said, I haven't read it, and she said that a lot of the language is really strongly, or it felt like very. It was a bit much, she said. But
How do I share my page again? Here, I'm going to share mine with you because mine's all highlighted and stuff.
Of course it is, man. Go ahead.
I don't know how to do it all of a sudden. Do I have to have it open?
Hit the so you see your picture there. Okay, so underneath that there's like a row of icons. There's one with a plus on it.
I found it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to scroll to, I didn't read the whole, I got to page 12. The complaint itself was only like 20 something pages. So I got to the gist, but factually, this is where we're at. So Bryan Freedman and his law firm is being sued by the administrator of the estate of Travis Michael Flores, whom I've never heard of. I don't even know who this is.
Well, I mean, I know who he is from the previous lawsuit. So let's put it that way.
Here, let me get that. Maybe if I get this off the screen, that helps. Does that help? All right. Travis Michael Flores is plaintiff, essentially his estate. He's going to be represented by the administrator of the estate of Flores. They have standing to bring this action on behalf of his estate, pursuant to 9820. Mm-hmm. The parties are Clement Sawyer.
That's his widow.
Sawyer. Yeah, his widow, the surviving spouse, duly appointed administrator of the estate. Defendant is Bryan Freedman and his law firm. These are the facts. Travis passed away May 23rd of 2024. And before he died, Travis retains Bryan Freedman of Liner Freedman, Titleman, Cooley, LLP to represent him against Justin Baldoni and other defendants in a federal copyright infringement action that was brought in the Ninth Circuit in California. Freedman initially took on the federal case, charged Travis a large amount of money up front, as any attorney would do in a civil lawsuit like that. When Freedman receives the opening Federal Rules of Civil Procedure Rule 12b6 motion to dismiss from opposing counsel for Justin Baldoni and the other defendants, he immediately advised Travis that, yeah, this ain't going to work out. No chance of success. It should be promptly dismissed. That's problematic, maybe. Freedman next prepared and told Travis not only to sign a full settlement under which Travis received absolutely nothing, but then also instructs Travis to sign a separate comprehensive release of any and all liability to the defendants, which is pretty standard fare in a civil lawsuit like that. And here's the kicker. Travis's family, their next major shock occurred when they learned that defendant Bryan Freedman had jumped over to begin representing Justin Baldoni in litigation involving movie stars Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Plaintiff did not learn of attorney Bryan Freedman's shifting loyalties from attorney Freedman or anyone in this law firm from defendant Liner Friedman Titleman, the law firm. Instead, after Travis's death at the age of 33, his two families and plaintiff learned about Friedman's conduct from the media and the reporters who began calling plaintiff and the family members during the Baldoni Lively Reynolds media storm. The grieving plaintiff and the family members did not wish to be drawn into the media firestorm after losing Travis. Unbeknownst to plaintiff, attorney Bryan Freedman had begun openly discussing Travis, his confidential attorney-client communications, and his low opinion of the merits of Travis's case that Freedman had filed to the media and the general public. Freedman, among many remarks, explained that Travis's opponents did nothing wrong, that Justin Baldoni is exceedingly honorable. Plaintiff had not only the side-by-side story analysis as described below, but text that refuted Justin Baldoni's fake statements. Contrary to Travis' lawyer's gushing compliments about his new client, Justin Baldoni's character, plaintiff's opinion of Justin Baldoni, based on the facts, is that he is a thief and a liar. That's not really how we've come to know Justin Baldoni.
Fake statements is what? What are you talking about?
I mean, it's their characterization of, it's their opinions, basically. You know, they could say whatever they want.
Man says Lauren on the gummies. Not tonight, man. I'm an odd person.
No, you were playing Fortnite before. I think that you were like half expecting it, like
it's just like bloodthirsty, I guess.
Yeah.
No. Somebody here has the exact quote for us that Bryan said.
What's the quote? Read it to me.
It says, over the years, I have learned what great people Justin and Wayfarer are. The Flores case was resolved without any determination of liability on Justin's or Wayfarer or any other defendant's part.
I don't see how that is a disclosure of anything other than what happened.
Yeah.
Well, they settled the case.
Is that the full quote, Stephanie? I can't remember if there's anything that came after that. I just can't remember.
So if the quote is basically that, yeah, they settled the case without a finding of liability to anybody, that's not.
I can find it on Hollywood Reporter. You keep going. I'll find it.
I mean, that's publicly available information. Like you could pull it up and find out that, yeah, it was resolved and there was no finding of liability to anybody. You could look at the minutes and figure that out, or look at the court docket and figure that out. He didn't divulge like insider secrets with respect to Travis. If that's the quote that he's in trouble for, that doesn't seem like the same thing.
Hold on, I got it up here. Over the years, I've learned what great people Justin and Wayfarer are. Friedman explained in a statement justifying his decision to subsequently represent Baldoni. The Flores case was resolved without any determination of liability on Justin's or Wayfarer or any other defendant's part. Since then, it has been further confirmed to me that Justin and Wayfarer are exceedingly honorable and highly ethical.
I guess their beef would be with the contention that Justin Baldoni is honorable and Wayfarer is honorable and ethical.
Well, for me, that the argument kind of ends there because I'm biased as hell. And I'm like, I agree with that.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, it's his opinion of counsel. I've said nice things about opposing parties before.
If I was this dude's widow, though, I'd be kind of pissed.
Of course.
You know? So I kind of get that.
I mean, they're bringing a malpractice suit against him because they think that he didn't take their case serious. That's really what this is about. The question how it relates to the Lively case is whether or not it's disqualifying or not. And the answer to that is maybe. Because the interest might necessarily diverge between Justin Baldoni and his former client, and he might be forced to give up further confidences, and it might be an automatic disqualifier with a well-written disqualifying motion. Maybe. Is it automatic? No. But it's not something that you should take lightly, is my point. Sure. You don't just hand wave this one away. They get more into this. Bryan Freedman's law practice are not to zealously and conscientiously represent his clients. Now, every attorney that's ever worked has had something like this said about them with some cases. It's just the nature of it. Sometimes you get bad cases and you know right away that it's a loser and it's not worth pursuing, and the client really wants you to pursue it, but it's a loser, and you know enough about the case to know that it's a waste of time and money. And then when you do that and you try to tell your clients that, you might get this kind of complaint that, hey, Bryan Freedman's law practice is not to zealously and conscientiously represent his clients. Rather, as plaintiff witnessed firsthand, defendant Bryan Freedman engages in deception, dishonesty to his clients and the general public, and manipulation. I'll give an example of how that could happen. So at the consultation, they could say, yeah, he totally stole my stuff. It's like his is called 5 feet apart, and mine was like 3 ways to Sunday. I don't remember what the names were.
Well,
but you know,
I should point out the language of those two things is kind of they're both related to so this movie was about people with, I think, with cystic fibrosis.
Yeah, with disabilities.
So there's different language that's used pretty commonly in those communities, and so there were a lot of similarities because of that. So I think that was one of the problems.
But here's the thing. So maybe his client talked up his case in the consult, and then Freeman's like, yeah, if all those things are true, then you got a case. You know what? We're going to take this case, we're going to put it forth, and we're going to do our due diligence, we're going to do our discovery, we're going to figure out what's what, and then we're going to go forward, right? And then in the midst of writing his complaint, all these deficiencies prop up in the course of doing your due diligence, and all of a sudden he no longer has a viable case. And well, God damn it, if all these things are true and they're not disputable, then you don't have a case. I'm sorry, man, but it's not going to go the way you think it would. You think it is. Maybe the client lied to him, but he can never say that because of attorney-client privilege, right? And so this is how an attorney gets put in this position, where a client talks a big game and then attorney takes their word for it. And in the course of maybe 2 to 3 or 4 weeks of, doing their due diligence, they figure out that, yeah, client lied to me, or it's not as strong of a case as they think, or the fact that this fact exists destroys the whole case. It's a loser. Sorry, man. No harm, no foul. And his family's up in arms like, wait a minute, that was bullshit. I don't know that to be true. And so was it malpractice? Maybe. Or was it obviously not malpractice? That could also be true. It just depends on what the facts are. The point is that Freedman could never just go out and say that, yeah, these are all the facts because of attorney-client privilege. Now he's being attacked for malpractice. So a lot of those things he might get to go into because he's being directly attacked. I'm just saying that the mere existence of this malpractice lawsuit, and he's currently representing the opposing party that was involved in the case that he's being sued for malpractice, might create an undeniable conflict of interest that would require his disqualification from the case. Maybe. Is it a slam dunk? No. But is it something that he could just ignore and hand wave away? Absolutely not. It's pretty effing serious, even if the underlying claim is very weak.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
Or am I going off on a tangent too much?
No, you're good. I got somebody here for you.
What do you got?
Your chat.
I get it. Confidences matter forever. Wrong to BF to say. I was thinking the complaint was Bryan dismissing too easily to take Justin's case. Those are two separate issues. And so his confidences, what they're saying is he shouldn't have said that the case was meritless. That's somehow an infringement into protected communications that we didn't waive. That's one complaint. The malpractice part of it is that, maybe he just dismissed the case way too early for the purpose of taking on Justin's case. They are two separate issues, but you take them together and they create this situation where Freedman might be disqualifiable from this litigation if somebody writes a well-cited motion to disqualify. They're just different issues. Do I think that there's merits to either of those claims? I don't know. It seems like a pretty weak case to me, a pretty weak malpractice suit, but there might be something there. There's something in there where there's only like a 1/4 inch or 30 pages in his entire file. Why could that happen? Because the complaint might have only been 8 pages and they hadn't done discovery yet. I don't know. I don't know what their law practices are, but they're saying other stuff that he deleted meeting notes and all this other stuff. Basically, he cleaned the record of any kind of evidence of wrongdoing or not doing anything on his case. And so they're up in arms about that. So they're basically citing that he illegally and inappropriately for an attorney got rid of client files. That's another pretty serious charge. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. So, yeah, man, this one is not going away anytime soon. And it might be very problematic for the Lively case. Lisa R is having a night, man. You need to get her a Megapine or something. You need to get her a glass of
Who, me?
No, Sarah. Somebody's in there. She said,
thank God. I gotta
she
go
keeps
to bed.
on saying, I'm tired of this shit. This case is bullshit. It's like, yeah.
I don't know if Megapine's gonna do it, man. Maybe something else.
Have a drink.
AKA the cat lady is a member of your channel now. She also sent you a super chat there.
Oh, thank you. How does an attorney fight a lawsuit like this if they can't talk about the case? They can't talk about the case, but if they are attacked, you can go into stuff, because if they make certain accusations, then he has the right to be candid and defend himself. It's tricky, but essentially they would be waiving portions of the privilege by making these attacks. They're going to have to go into like very specific stuff, and the attorney's going to have to get very specific with communications that wouldn't ordinarily break privilege. But if you're attacking an attorney for malpractice, a lot of that gets thrown out the window because you're now defending yourself. And we have to talk about these things. And it's been made, it's been put in the spotlight by the person that holds the privilege. In this instance, it's the estate of Travis, whatever his name was.
Flores. Show some respect for the dead, man. Come on.
I keep on wanting to call him Travis Barker. It's not Travis Barker. It's Travis Flores.
It's not Travis Barker. Idiots. Oh, God. Stephanie Barrett, thank you for the 2. Isn't late filing well into Lively's case suspicious? I don't know. I mean,
maybe
it's kind of a totally separate thing if you look at it that way. So,
yeah, I don't think that they're doing it purposefully to get rid of Lively's case, but they might be. I don't have to know. It's possible.
They're saying I think this person is suing Justin to try to get Bryan kicked off of Justin's case, and that's suspicious because they think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that they think that Blake and Ryan have something to do with this.
You want my personal opinion?
Yeah.
I don't think they give a shit about the Lively case. I think they want money.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I think they want like a $5 million settlement, and they'll take it in via Zelle.
Well, that's kind of what I thought too, because I was thinking, I know people think it's suspicious, the timing, because of all the stuff that's going on, but I also think that people who, kind of have these kind of issues can sometimes, unfortunately, be kind of, and it's, if you think about it from like a strategic standpoint, I think it makes sense. And it's like, I don't want to judge people for that, but they can be kind of opportunistic as to what's going on with these people at this time, and see like, okay, they're in a bad position right now, so if we try to strike now, maybe they have to settle with us and go away.
Just as an aside, okay, I know that you want to go to law school and all. I know you've told me that.
I'm just taking a test, man.
But that leads to law school if you do well enough, and I know you're going to do very well because I know what you're scoring on those tests. I'm just saying, why would you want to get involved with this shit, man? You see what happens? Like, you're doing your best work and you think you're doing the right thing, and all of a sudden somebody sues you and they want $5 million. So we're going to get kicked off the trial century.
I'm not interested in any of this kind of shit right here. I'd like what I do, and like for people who get into the kind of situations that I find myself in, I would like to do that kind of work. I want to help people like that.
Oh, yeah, but that's like your initial mission statement. Everybody has an initial mission statement. Like,
yeah, the thing is, I don't ever think that I'm going to be like a lawyer. I don't want to be a trial lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, I don't ever want to do that. So there's just, I would like to be able to help people in these kinds of situations. I don't think that's ever going to be my like full-time job. I would have stayed in school forever if I could have. Like I applied to law school 7 years ago, and I didn't go
hard
away from home. But I just think that I would like to be in a situation where I could do something about it if I ever found myself in this situation again, or if like for people, because I feel like this is going to be an ongoing issue that we see a lot more. I would like to be able to help people with that. And I know that it kind of sounds stupid because it's like, well, why would you go to law school if you don't want to be like a full-time lawyer? My godmother is like one of the smartest people I know. She's a doctor. She went back to law school later in life. here in town because she wanted to be able to defend herself against these ridiculous malpractice suits that people were trying to bring. So it can be done. And
no, it can.
So.
I'll just tell you this. It's not that it's not noble work. It's just really torturous on the soul.
I am already torturing myself every single day.
All right.
what do you think about that? Like, come on, be honest. Like, listen. You listen to me every day, right? And so,
yes, I do.
I'm already torturing my soul. So I don't think it's really going to get any worse than that. Just gotta
Fair
say.
enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Hey, man. Godspeed to you. That's all I gotta say.
I'm just taking a test. I'm not doing anything right now.
I understand.
So,
but I feel like you're going to score like 165 or above, and you're going to get into like a really good school or get a scholarship somewhere, like I did.
I don't know.
And then like get suckered into it.
I'm not trying to move away. Is the thing. The only reason I even thought about it was because
there's plenty of law schools in Florida, young lady.
Huh?
There's plenty of law schools in Florida.
No, I know, but I don't want to. I would like to live in this house for a long time. Like I want to buy it from my parents because I rent it from them right now and keep it. So I want to go in town. And we didn't have a law school here for a while until 2 years ago. I sent you that info. Like,
yeah,
I remember a little bit back, and I was like, can you look at this and tell me if it's like what's wrong with this place? Can you just tell me if something is wrong? So, yeah.
I think I told you, as long as it's ABA accredited, who gives a shit?
Yeah. Right.
Just go and be merry and pass the bar and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to be a big shot. I just want to know what I'm doing so that I can help where I need to.
No, you seem like a well-adjusted person, unlike other people that I've known that are involved in law.
I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
Yeah. Let's see. Did we get this already? The Hail Mary thing? Yeah. Okay. I think
the BL team knows they're going to lose, so the Hail Mary is trying to get free. I mean, that's suggesting that Lively's team is the one initiating the lawsuit, which I just doubt it.
Also, KUP thing 5. That case was decided in 2022, I believe. Freedman wasn't brought into Wayfair's case until late 2023, I thought.
July. Yeah. That's true. Or is it?
It would have been August. I think it was August 2024, wasn't it?
Well, you know better than I would.
I'm pretty sure it was 2024. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong, please. You don't have to spam the chat because I'll forget. So
wait, is it 2025?
It is almost 2026, man.
Jesus.
Yeah. We're in October. So.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Anyways, let's try to roll through the rest of this so I can get to bed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be reading. You had me get okay.
Yeah, and your voice is like, oh my god. I feel like I developed a tolerance to it, but now your voice makes me sleepy again. So I need you to like be a little.
Do that on purpose.
Be a little more dramatic, please.
You want me to be more dramatic? Oh Jesus!
Yes,
all right.
Because when you're all like normal talking, it's like so like soothing for some reason. So I need you to just be a freak.
Be a what?
A psycho, so I can stay awake.
Oh, you said a freak.
Freak.
I interpreted that much differently. Never mind.
No.
Brian Freeman's law practice. This is a poorly written. Anyway, the public witnesses Bryan Freedman litigate almost all of his cases in the media spotlight. Then he proceeds to lose his cases in open court. That's pretty shitty thing to say. Also, demonstrably false. I don't think he's losing all of his cases. Probably he has his wins and losses. He peddles promises to his clients under the guise of legal services. In fact, by the time plaintiff finally got back Travis's legal file from Freedman, which took weeks, it was less than a quarter-inch thick, which probably equated to $2,000 to $3,000 per page. That is a false quantification of what's 30 times 3,000. So they probably paid $100,000 up front.
My head is not in the game right now, man.
All right.
You Travis love me at quarter-inch thick. Like what? Sorry, somebody says freak. I get it now. Freak has a certain connotations, Lauren. So when
if you grew up in the 90s, it does. I think that's more of like a 90s term, which is when I grew up.
So I need you to be a freak is not a great thing for me to say, but I obviously didn't know what I was saying.
That is not the thing for you to say.
Your mind at ease here, bro. Freaks don't live.
My mind is at ease. I just want to make sure you understand what you're saying.
The freaks don't live here. Okay, it's not a thing like that.
All right. I've heard different about Florida.
Omar, can you try to focus, please? Like what?
I'm really. You're the one that is like diverting my attention right now. Anyway, here's the crux of the lawsuit. So he makes this, or he has a screenplay titled 3 Feet Distance.
Why don't I'm going to go get some water. Okay.
Okay. I got this. Baldoni makes a show 5 feet apart. It was purportedly created. Damn it. It's the worst possible time. I got to you know what? I got to pause for a minute.
Oh my God. I didn't even get out of my seat yet, and this man's got to take a break. What happened to him? I don't know. You guys are stuck with me now. Freaks and Geeks was a great show. I never saw that.
I had like a coughing fit. I apologize.
Okay. Well, I was worried about you, so I came back.
It's like when you got hiccups the other night.
Oh, you saw that?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did see that.
You should try to go to bed earlier.
No, man. There's no going. It's like 10 o'clock right now. It's like
right now it's 1 o'clock actually, but
well. Anyway, so this is the dispute.
I'm gonna get water
versus go for it. 3 feet distance. The movie is allegedly inspired by the life of cystic fibrosis activist Claire Wineland, who reached millions through social media while she was battling her illness. And then it just goes on. Travis, like Claire, had also participated in the series hosted by Justin, and together they reached a wide audience. Travis's opinion of Baldoni was not a good one. For instance, after Travis discovered that Justin had used his ideas through their communications and stole his copyrighted story, Travis said, Justin hopes we die before we catch up to him. While Justin might look good up on the screen, mouthing other people's words from a script, his true character is very different, and he emits a bad and dishonest energy, as Travis explained. They're talking shit about Justin. Or Travis was.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
I know you're not gonna like it, but that's Travis's opinion.
No, but I saw this clip earlier today of Travis, who he was on. I don't know if it was Today Show or something else. He got this message from Justin, who was saying like, "Hi Travis, I heard about your story. I'm so inspired by you and whatever." And Travis was like so moved by that. So to see this on the page is kind of like, what the hell happened here?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen worse.
I'm also just like really tired of people shitting on Justin. So he's a good dude.
It just kind of doesn't matter how you live your life. You're not going to be insulated from people coming after you. It's part of the universal test that we all fall under by being alive. If somebody's not coming after you, then you're doing something wrong. It's the mark of ascension that people come after you. And I apologize for getting poetic, but let me just continue with this lawsuit.
No, that was it was interesting. Somebody asked if Travis could have gotten most of his retainer back from Bryan.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really know. Yeah.
He paid a bunch of money up front. I'm certainly probably billed him up the ass to get the thing filed. He might have gotten some of it back. I have no idea. Yeah. I don't have any of those facts. Maybe they're in this complaint. It'll come out in the wash eventually. So the film 5 Feet Apart, which Justin Baldoni produced and directed, was shot in 2018 with a budget of $7 million. It opened on approximately 2,800 movie theater screens in the United States with a 5-week average run, earning over $45 million domestic and $91 million worldwide. And that's what got this party started. They say Baldoni stole the script and the ideas and dialogue that Travis had shared with him. And so therefore they're going to want what? I assume $136 million. That's why they're doing this. So if they're looking for 136 million, would they take a settlement of 5? Sure, they would. Maybe. I don't know. But that's why we're here. It's always money. It's always money. Never assume that you're going to get in the law and be insulated from the worst instincts of human nature.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, so many things.
No. Tell me.
if millions of dollars were not involved, this would not be a lawsuit. Let's put it that way.
Okay,
If this was truly about,
that doesn't have anything to do with me, you know.
oh well, it certainly doesn't have anything to do with you. I don't think that you were
We
part of
never
this.
get into law without. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not.
Oh well, it's funny. I mentioned when everybody that goes into law has like this law mission statement. I want to go into law because I want to fight for justice of the I was going to say the indignant, of the indigent or whatever.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I want to fight for the Constitution. I want to fight for the civil rights of the inflicted or whatever. They have all these noble things that they want to do in law, and then you get into it.
No, I'm not actually that noble. I just really want to have power struggles with assholes. So
you know that movie A Time to Kill with Matthew McConaughey?
No, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's this movie. You should watch it. Matthew McConaughey. It's A Time to Kill. It has Samuel L. Jackson in it, and it's like this. It's one of the top 10 movies that law students point to as, I saw that movie and I wanted to be a lawyer. What you don't realize is that in real life, what Matthew McConaughey was going through while he was litigating that case and defending Samuel L. Jackson in that movie, he was literally like on the verge of death. Like he had sacrificed every bit of his moral character, every bit of his soul, every bit of his physical well-being, not just for him, but for his family, on the off chance that he might get acquitted, this man who acted out of the defense of his daughter, who was essayed by a group of KKK members. I think that's the plot. I think they were Triple K. But that's what he was doing. He was defending somebody that was avenging this horrible thing that happened to his daughter. And they go through the whole movie, and then Matthew McConaughey goes up and he gives this rousing closing argument, and it's very famous. Go watch it on YouTube. But at the end of all of that, this rousing applause or whatever, and he wins the big case, and cue James Garner with the soundtrack and the movie, and I want to be like Matthew McConaughey. I want to be a lawyer. You're giving up, you are sacrificing your soul to get to that level. You are, have no misunderstanding. If you're aspiring to that level of change, there is a piece of you that you are sacrificing, and it might be more than a piece. And so it is noble, but and everybody starts with some kind of a goal like that, and it quickly diverts to something else. And that's why most lawyers are dicks. Just 100%. Most lawyers, they become disenchanted with that, and they realize very quickly that they're not going to change anything. So they might as well become part of it.
I mean, I left when I left my last job. I'd been on like my last thread for a long time because, everybody who has the power to do anything doesn't want to do it. And so the people who are below them have to fight and fight and fight just for scraps. And so you can never really get anything done. So I get it. Like there's disenchantment, I feel like, in a lot of places. At some point you have to just decide, like, I'm going to set my bar a little bit lower or, I can do something else. So
real change never comes without bloodshed, whether it be to your physical person or from your soul. And that's just how it is. Yeah. And that's why we make movies about the people that make those sacrifices, because so few are willing to pay the costs.
I don't know. I'm really into the movie White Chicks.
So. At least you didn't say Legally Blonde.
No, that's an okay one. I watched that actually recently.
You would watch that one.
No, I was just going through like what was it, like 2000s movies or something. It was like popular 2000s movies, and that was one of them. So
my favorite 2000s movie.
We got off track here, guys. Anyways,
Nelly's fault.
Nelly usually is. Nelly, thank you for the $5. In the nicest way possible, Lauren sounds more morning zoo radio.
Morning zoo radio, like the morning show?
Well, Omar sounds like Night in Gaily Colin Love Song Channel. Love you guys.
You do sound like a morning show type of person. What was that about?
That was my best morning zoo impression. What do you mean?
Are you going to be caller 102 to wear this free pair of tickets to Coldplay? Dude, because you're on your menstrual.
This is like, okay, here's a little side tangent that we shouldn't go on, but I'm going to. I used to sit around and call the radio for hours and hours and hours when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, because I was like, this would be so cool if I got on the radio. You know what I mean? And now like kids are like obsessed with Instagram and shit. I'm like, that's kind of sad. So.
When I was 11, I called into an AM talk radio show, and there was they were talking about the Raiders, and I had just watched a game, and then I got on the air. And I was like, this kid, oh, what a cute little kid. And then I said, I forgot what player was talking about. I want you to know that so-and-so is a chode. And then I hung up, and it was like, hee. Everybody was like,
you called someone else my pet name.
It was 1991, and it was just, we didn't have much to entertain ourselves back then.
You have a chat here.
Oh, I've ascended. Amy Les, I've ascended. My ex a-hole always comes for me. Yeah. That's the funny thing about ascension. The people you leave behind try to throw hooks into you. You just got to keep on moving upwards. Eventually, they'll lose the tension, and you will continue to ascend.
Cool.
Should we get back into this lawsuit? I think we should.
You have one more.
Oh, okay. So glad Omar is back tonight. Sharp legal advice with that guapo confidence and a touch of machismo. Oh, I'll never be able to get rid of the machismo completely. It's part of that toxic masculinity that I was raised in 80s and 90s and such. It is what it is. But hey, my daughters have softened me up a great deal. And I guess I'm reformed machismo. But you can never get rid of the residue. How about that?
Yeah.
Lauren was entertained.
Whatever. Let's try to run through some more of this because I'm gonna fall asleep in about 30 minutes. So.
All right, here, I'll try to get through this. We'll just go through the fact pattern. We don't have to get through the causes of action. They're suing them for breach of contract, breach of fiduciary duty, all kinds of bad things. But this is what got that party started. So let me continue with this. All right, so it's all about money, right? The $45 million thing. On July 8th, 2021, while still recovering from his lung transplant surgery, Travis retained the attorney Bryan Freedman to file the copyright infringement case while relying heavily on the Freedman firm and its purported expertise and reputation for legal work, but observed that Freedman sings a good song, but the work ethic and work product leave much to be desired. And this just reeks of somebody that had a bad case and didn't know that they had a bad case. They over-talked their case to the lawyer, and then the lawyer looks into it and is like, yeah, none of this is true. And so therefore they're not going to win. And it's like, well, that's not what you said at the beginning. At the first, you were like so encouraging and all this kind of stuff. And now all of a sudden just drop us like whatever, because you got a better client. They just sound like every aggrieved client that ever went to an attorney with like hopes and dreams with this shitty case that they oversold to an attorney. Turns out the merits of it were bullshit. And now they want to have somebody to blame. And guess what? If they sue Freedman, they might get a settlement for millions of dollars that would benefit the estate of Travis Flores and all this and that. Whatever. That's where we're going. This is how this reads to me. Before filing the complaint, plaintiff consulted with 3 senior attorneys who confirmed that Freedman's work was limited and inadequate, consisting of taking on a case only to then conclude the case was meritless, with the first filing of the other side's opening federal rules of civil procedure 12v6 motion to dismiss within 30 days of the initial filing. I find that really hard to believe that there were 3 senior attorneys that would speak disparagingly about Freedman to a client.
Yeah, that seems a little odd.
But you never know, I guess. They say that defendant Freedman's handling of the case raised eyebrows among the lawyers. Even more damaging to defendant Bryan Freedman is that there are texts and potential witnesses which show Justin Baldoni lied about the origin of the script. Then, on or about December 26, 2024, the media plaintiff first learned that defendant Bryan Freedman had actually jumped over to represent Baldoni, the defendant in Travis's case against Blake Lively, in a very high-profile sexual harassment and defamation action. Defendant Freedman simply traded up his valuable client and sacrificed seriously ill client Travis Flores in order to gain the more lucrative and healthier client Justin Baldoni. And then this is kind of the problem in red down here. Defendant Freedman begins openly discussing the facts of the case. And then he says, just some of Attorney Freedman's public comments included but not limited to. In the copyright infringement case, I learned what great people Justin and Wayfair were. I learned that they did absolutely nothing wrong. And that there was no liability on their part whatsoever.
That's not consistent with the actual direct quote that we read.
I mean, this is what's in the complaint, so.
No, yeah, but I'm just saying, just critiquing the complaint here. That's not exactly what was said.
Even if they said that, yeah, that does go a step further than what we read before. I don't know where they pulled this quote from, and they're not citing it anywhere.
Nope.
And so I don't know. They continue. As a result, the case was resolved without any they're quoting an article. That's what they're doing. As a result, the case was resolved without any liability on Justin or Wayfair's or any other defendant's part. This only further confirmed to me that Justin and Wayfair are exceedingly honorable and highly ethical. That's a quote taken from this article from the U.S. Weekly. That's where they got that from. So, they talk about defendant's obligation as California attorneys require them to absolutely protect his vulnerable client's confidentiality. And then they cite this rule that a lawyer shall not reveal information protected from disclosure by Business Professions Code section 6068 and all these other things, unless the client gives informed consent. And right now, Travis can't give any consent, and that consent rests with the administrator of his estate or his widow.
Well, okay, so I found the quote in the, is it U.S. Weekly or Us Weekly? I don't know, but I found the article that was being referenced there.
Maybe it is Us Weekly and I'm the idiot.
I don't well, I think the thing is neither one of us really gives a shit.
No, it doesn't matter.
But yeah, I guess this was back in January, and he did say that. I learned that they did absolutely nothing wrong, and there was no liability on their parts whatsoever. I think he should have stuck to the more, reined in quote that we saw before. I think this was just for the purposes of like public image and and just like to honestly, as a person, I just would not want to hurt the widow of my former client. But I understand most people are just trying to do their jobs, or whatever. But
the question of law is going to become whether or not that actually violates privileged communications or not. Whether or not that violates former client confidences to rise to the level of a breach of fiduciary duty.
I'm just trying to be a little bit sympathetic to the widow, I think.
Yeah. So you could agree, despite your biases, that it's problematic. It's not nothing, Yeah,
I mean, I would be very upset by that.
All right. So defendants represent Mr. Flores on a federal question in federal court that the attorney-client privilege survives Travis Flores' death. This is crucial because it means that all privileged communications between Mr. Flores and defendant Freedman remain protected. Moreover, this right is now in plaintiff's hands, and they go on to explain what we've just been talking about. And now they say defendants failed to maintain their client's confidential communications and the work product privilege and other privileges while openly discussing Travis's case publicly without consulting plaintiff. The question is whether or not that rises to the level of breaching client's confidential communications by stating that, in his opinion, Baldoni did nothing wrong. He's not publishing what Travis's opinion of that would have been. He's not divulging anything that one couldn't glean from the publicly available information related to that lawsuit. It's a tricky one. I don't know. I'd have to see more case law on it.
I'm sorry, but I just had to take the time to plug my idea again that I recently mentioned to you about that show that I wanted to do, which would be like Small Claims Court, except all based on feelings, and it would be very messy.
Isn't that just like 7th grade?
But with adults. So, duh.
Well, isn't that just like I don't know, spring break?
Can you just let me have this?
Okay.
Can you please try to stay on subject? This is ridiculous.
I'm on board. I'd rather not be the judge for those arguments.
I'm gonna do it. It's fine.
Okay. The other thing is, general public was led to believe, given Freedman's confidential relationship with his client Travis, that Freedman was speaking the truth and must know facts and details that the public did not. The problem is that the public, if they wanted to know about them, could have looked up the public records and deduced essentially the same thing that Freedman said.
Well, we did that. So.
True. While asked, for example, about Freedman's previous case, why did I underline this? The family members and public who are told to trust the sanctity of the... Oh, shut up. While asked, for example, about Freedman's previous case against Justin Baldoni, Freedman is quoted in US Weekly, or Us Weekly, on January 23rd. I learned that Justin did absolutely nothing wrong and that there was no liability on their part whatsoever. This further confirmed to me that Justin and Wayfair are exceedingly honorable and highly ethical. Stating his opinion of that, how does that violate client confidences is my question. I'd really want to be, I'm really curious, just intellectually, how that would violate anything. Yeah. I know it's not a bad look, and maybe that's the point.
Okay.
I mean, that is the point, actually. This is a classic example of tossing a client under the bus. Does it toss the client under the bus? Or a settlement where no liability was found on either side and everybody just walked away and moved on with life?
Throw them under the bus? No, but...
He didn't come out and say, yeah, Travis filed a bullshit lawsuit. He never should have filed it. And it was full of mistakes and it was full of lies and misinterpretations. And you know what? These are honorable people and fuck Travis. That's not what he said.
Sorry, that's terrible.
I'm just saying. He just, it turns out that they didn't, there was no wrongdoing and they're honorable people and good for them. Godspeed. I've been saying that a lot. Tell me to stop saying that. The Godspeed thing.
No.
Okay.
Devil speed.
Even more important, defendants and defendant Bryan Freedman's public statements in particular clearly indicate that Mr. Freedman had developed a relationship with Mr. Baldoni during or prior to the litigation, or maybe after. And it doesn't matter, I guess. The process only confirming Mr. Freedman's high view of Mr. Baldoni. Moreover, the defending the character of his new A-list client, Mr. Freedman appears to undermine his deceased client, Travis Flores. That's a stretch to me. It's a stretch. I need to see the case law that says that an attorney who happens to represent the opposing party of a former client who is now deceased, if he says anything positive about his character, it somehow undermines his deceased client as a matter of law.
That's a lot.
I need to see that. I need to see what case stands for that proposition. That's what they're stating. These statements not only discuss the merits of the initial claim on whatever. Travis had a right to expect confidentiality and loyalty. I don't see where the confidentiality has been breached here. Loyalty is another question, I guess. I mean, it's not the best look that he's representing Baldoni when he used to be the opponent of his client.
I don't know. So far, this is just reading to me like my feelings are hurt, but the court is not the remedy for that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, we know all about that, don't we? Additionally, plaintiff alleges on information and belief that the handling of the work product associated with defendant's representation of Travis Flores and that the confidentiality and integrity of such materials were not maintained. Their failure to safeguard stuff is bullshit. That's what they're saying. Plaintiff learned the total file consists of less than 25 pages, and this is where I stopped before my daughter wanted me to read her a bedtime story. So here's the other point. I didn't get to read this part. The conflict of interest. It is unclear when the relationship between defendant Bryan Freedman and Baldoni blossomed, but defendant Freedman should have been aware of the conflict. A conflict of interest arises when an attorney's interest or those of a different client or conflict with the interests of the present clients. Attorneys have a duty to zealously represent the interests of their clients and must avoid situations where these duties conflict. This conflict of interest was never disclosed to Travis or his estate, but it compromised his legal standing and was only later revealed by the press in the most callous and brutal way possible. So what they're basically saying is that his relationship obviously blossomed during the time that Travis was represented, and it affected his decision making and how he represented Travis.
Okay.
That's going to be difficult to prove.
Hmm.
And good luck with that.
Yeah.
Defendant Freedman's decision to represent Justin, the opposing party in Flores' case, and to make public comments against the interests of Travis Flores, plaintiff, and his family is an egregious violation of ethical principles and demonstrates a blatant disregard for his fiduciary duty owed to his former clients. Maybe or maybe not. Freedman made false statements to the public and to the media. So what were the statements? If we are to believe defendant Freedman, then Travis Flores did not write the script in question, and his case beyond Justin Baldoni was meritless.
Oh, that's not nice.
If we are to believe defendant Freedman, then Travis Flores did not write the script in question, and his case against Baldoni was meritless. Well, he didn't write the script that Baldoni wrote.
Right.
They're two different things.
Justin never saw Travis's work. That's why he didn't have a case.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what Freedman says. That's what they're trying to deduce.
Right. Okay.
From those statements, which is a stretch.
Yeah.
It sounds more to me like, yeah, maybe there was something to it because the titles were similar and the plots were similar, but there was enough differences there.
Well, the similarities are all tied to the same very niche community of people who have this terminal disease, and so there are lots of kind of similar terms being thrown around to represent the things that are associated with it. So like 3 feet apart or 5 feet apart, or 3 feet separate, or whatever it was. Like those things are something that those people with that disease, they have to deal with that all the time, and so it's not like an uncommon thing. It wasn't like a rare thing that they somehow replicated very closely to a T. It was like, this is something that's very common in this community and very common to describe the experience that these people are going through. So they ended up having those kind of similar competing titles. So
check it. And I agree with that. But check out this portion of it. Defendant Freedman's grotesque public display.
That's a bit much.
Led to plaintiff's family being persistently contacted by the press during the media hurricane generated by Travis's own lawyer, defendant Bryan Freedman, and defendants. This is the antithesis of what the professional rules of conduct require and represent. The unauthorized dissemination of false information into the media by a lawyer about his own client not only harms the reputation of Mr. Flores, but also undermines the public's trust in the legal system.
Here's the problem with that. I can guarantee you, given the way things have gone, that even if Bryan Freedman wasn't Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Travis Flores' widow and his estate, they were going to be getting lots of media contact.
Yeah, just by virtue of the gravity of that case.
You cannot tie that to Bryan Freedman definitively. You can't.
100%. Agreed. So last thing here, and then we can stop. We don't need to go over the causes of action. Attorney Bryan Freedman breached his duty to return the complete file. This is a tricky one. But this is what the rule says. Upon the termination of a representation for any reason subject to any applicable protective order, non-disclosure agreement, statute, or regulation, the lawyer promptly shall release to the client, at the request of the client, all client materials and property. So if you go to a lawyer and they work on your case and you don't want them to work on your case anymore and you request the file, they got to give it to you, everything, all your stuff. All their work products, everything that they filed, all the stuff. After requesting the files from Mr. Freedman several times, plaintiff was invited to pick up a flash drive from the Freedman firm. The contents of the purported client file are threadbare and incomplete. Under the rules of professional conduct, an attorney must provide a complete and accurate file to their client upon request. It's also possible that maybe that case just didn't generate the volume of documents that you would expect because it was a meritless case.
Yeah.
And it was found out very early on. That's possible. I know, look, every client thinks that their case is like the big case of the century, right? And that there's going to be hundreds of pages of stuff or whatever. But sometimes there's just not much substance there. And so it's possible And I don't know what their work products or processes are or what they filed. I don't know.
Yeah.
30 pages does seem a bit light, even
Mm.
for a meritless case. I would expect that they would have transcripts. I would expect that they would have exhibits. I would expect that they would have pleadings or notes or briefs, research, whatever. 30 pages, to be fair, does seem pretty light. After requesting files several times, okay. Plaintiff repeatedly requests and continues to request that defendants promptly return all documents, files, and materials connected to the representation of Flores, including any communication as defined by 1.16 with Justin Baldoni about the copyright infringement case in which Mr. Freedman was hired to protect Mr. Flores's interest. These materials are essential for properly managing the Flores estate and pursuing any further action and understanding the timing and the circumstances under which Mr. Freedman undertook the representation of Baldoni. So that's probably, I mean, I don't know. That is a legitimate argument they have. 30 pages does seem light, but all the rest of the stuff seems like a stretch.
Yeah.
But why not give it a shot, you know?
Yeah.
If they might be willing to settle for 7 figures, go for it.
We'll see, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I kind of wish that we lived in a world, to be honest, and I know this is totally like not a thing that's ever going to happen. I kind of wish we lived in a world where Bryan could just be like, sorry, I can see how that hurt your feelings, and we could all just move on. You know, I feel like I'm a little tired of everybody suing everybody.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the legal world, you know. Everybody has a claim.
I'm unfortunately aware of that. I've been now brought up in litigation 2 or 3 times that I have nothing to do with, so I can see the world is not going to change. I'm just saying, in my ideal world, you could just reach out and say, like, man, I heard you were upset about this. I saw your quote in the, whatever article, and I just want to make it right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So I think that I miss the times where we could just do that. You know what I mean?
I miss the times where you could just be like in 5th grade and be like, you know what? Let's just fight it out in the grass.
All right,
baseball field.
You're living in.
And then you guys kick each other's ass, and you guys both punch each other in the face, and you go home with like scratches and bruises and stuff, and then you hug it out, and then you're friends forever. The sign of friends is that they physically fought. Well, at least when, I was a schoolboy, that's how it worked. Like my best friends were like people that I physically fought. I mean, not now, obviously. I'm a 45-year-old man. I'm just saying when I was like 10, 11, 12, it was like a thing that you would do. And then everybody that you would get into fights with, somehow you become like the best of friends. It's amazing how that worked. I think we should get back to that. I think that even if we're putting on like the oversized gloves, let's just get in the ring. We'll put on like these 5-pound gloves or whatever and just slug it out. Put on the headgear. Don't put out the headgear. Punch yourselves out until you're tired, and then you'll see the world differently. I promise. You don't like my proposal. I'm telling you, don't knock it until you try it, is all.
So I'm gonna go to bed now. I really don't know what else to say to that. Wait, we gotta read the rest of these. So hang on. Nelly Finn, this is for you, Omar.
Machismo residue.
Merchant band name, yeah.
That totally. That's a good one. That's kind of like Millie Cunt. That's the other one.
God. Amy Les, thank you for. We went the whole night without saying cunt until you just said that.
I know, but it gave me another merch idea.
Amy Les, thank you for the 5. Came late. I love Lauren's blue hat. Popcorn Andy pointed out the book option from the film was written by someone else, written before 3 Feet was written. Yeah, that's right. So 5 Feet Apart was a book that was written, and they got the rights to it before 3 Feet Apart or whatever it was ever written. So yeah, that's true. So like again, that's probably a large part of the reason that Bryan didn't think they had a case. So, P. Mahone, thank you for the 5. The Flores case was dismissed March 29, 2022. Lively wasn't even hired till Jan 2023. Yeah, but I guess that doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay, Just Ricardo, thank you for the $2. This is all a giant stretch. I mean, I think it's a stretch, but we'll see. Vipan, thank you for the 5. Blake sued a small company called Beauty by Blake for sounding like Blake Brown. Sounds like this. Yet Blake's lawsuit against she's like a small influencer where she does like eyeshadow and I don't know if it's eyeshadow even, just mascara and stuff like that. That was nuts, but I'm not shocked. Blake is an entitled mealy cunt. So
See, now you said it. See, it feels good, doesn't it?
this is for you.
Fine, let's fight, Omar. Then we will be besties. Oh, I'd rather not. I'm too old for that.
You did kind of invite this. So. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna take off. I gotta go to bed, but yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, it's only 10:30 over here, but I think it's my bedtime too. So
it is almost 2:00 here. So.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, folks. I love you all. Lauren, I hope you get some rest and don't do anything I wouldn't do. And call me if you get arrested. Don't say anything to the cops.
Okay.
And Jazzy G says devil speed.
That's right. I'm gonna hit
all right, you got to press the button though.